Hello everyone, this is FlatLine, and today I'm going to be doing a PvZ. I'm just going to fast forward through the beginning stage because this one I don't really care about, honestly. We're going to be discussing more about the mid-game slash late game of PvZ, where it gets pretty interesting. As the roles kind of switched and from Wings of Liberty to Heart of the Swarm, you can see a lot of Zergs are now being pretty aggressive in the mid-game. So they can kind of deny Protoss getting that late game composition that Sky Toss with the High Templars. It's really strong against Zerg, and they don't really want to deal with that, so they go for some mid game attacks. Anyways, I see him getting a pretty late pull here, so I'm going to be going Nexus first, pretty much standard. Against in PvZ, I kind of go for a very fast third, especially on this map. The third is pretty easy to take. You will eventually have, you will face some of these Zergs that will eventually do some kind of like heavy roachling aggression in the early game. I'm talking like maybe 40 drones and then makes a lot of roachling. That could be sometimes hard to deal with, but it's all up to your force fields if you place them perfectly. Sage is pretty good at defending that kind of pressure. That's where I first saw that. I haven't faced anybody that's done it though, so I can't really say. But if you do need any kind of like videos or VODs or anything like that, you could probably go on Sage's stream, which is twitch.tv/sc2sage. You can look up one of his VODs, you can watch him. He's definitely one of the Protoss to watch, in my opinion. He's really good. Especially when it hits the mid slash late game. That's what I like a lot about him. Is not particularly his build order, but his decision making is just amazing. And how he deals with what's being thrown at him. I kind of missed micro there, so I'm gonna be going for a very fast third, like I said, against this. The video is gonna be about defending Roach, Hydra, Swarm Host, which is one of the many compositions that is centered around the Swarm Host. There's the Swarm Host Viper, that's pretty later in the game. There's also the, oh my gosh, let me put myself on busy here. There's the Corruptor Swarm Host composition there, Queen Swarm Host composition, and there's just thousands of compositions with the Swarm Host. And the Swarm Host is kind of like a mid-game Broodlord unit. It's a siege unit. It pops out 3 units that does tons of damage. It can get quite annoying because of that, but I am going to show you how I particularly deal with it against this one, which is the Roach Hydra Roach Hydra Swarm Host. Now there is that Roach Hydra Corruptor Swarm Host composition as well, but that you need a little bit more income than this guy. Excuse me. I just woke up, so I'm like having the sniffles. Okay, so what I like to do is once I scout that he's going, I scouted the Roach Sworn, Hydralistan, and the Infestation Pit. I didn't see any Spire or anything like that, so I know he's not going for straight into Swarm Host Corruptor. So I am investing into double Robo Colossus. Now, if you do see the Corruptors being added into this composition, you do want to go for Storm. I'm still going to be getting that Templar Archives anyways, because the composition I like to go for against this is Colossus Archon Charge Lot. I don't really like to go for Stalkers. The Stalkers, you'll see some people like to go for the Stalkers. The only advantage I like from the Stalkers is its range against the Locust. And there is some ways you could deal with the Locust or with the Swarm Host. You can, you deal with the Locust with your Stalkers is the blinking mechanic is actually pretty good against the Locust. You see them coming towards you, you can blink to the side and rush straight to the Swarm Host and deal some kind of damage in that kind of way. But a pretty good Zerg should be able to keep his swarm host safe, like he's doing. So what I like to do is I like to go for 6 Colossus. That's the magic number. The 4 you could get away with early stage of the game when they don't have that many supporting units. You could kind of like budge right in there and be like, hey, you know, stop this. You can see I'm kind of delaying this push, but other than that, I can't really engage into the push though, so I'm not going to engage into it whatsoever. I like to bring the mothership core as well. Just going to be using time warp. Mainly you want to try to save the time warp on the swarm host, so that way whenever they unburrow and they try to move, it's really slow for them. They can't really retreat. You want to give them that, you know, if you want to stay there, you're going to stay there for a very long time, and I should be able to get into your base. So this is another thing you want to do against the Locust. If you're not going to fully engage into the Zerg, don't use any of your units but the Colossus. The Colossus should be able to kite the Locust, because you have 9 range and they have 3. You only have 3 range, so you should be able to do that kind of jazz. Now I do see him having an Overseer, so one of the things I am a little bit worried about is him trying to do that Overseer Observer Snipe type of thing. You know, they do it with the Corruptors, they do it with the Queens, they do it with the Hydras. Very, very annoying. So what you want to do is you want to have one with your army. This is the one up in the front, and then another one following behind your Colossus or any of your units, and separate it on a different hotkey. You see I have one on a separate hotkey right here, and you see that's why I said 6 is pretty much the magic number you want to have against this. It pretty much just kills off the Locust very quickly. You do want to add some Archons in here. The Archons actually do tremendous amount of damage. They do 43 damage against biological units, and they do that splash. So having about 3 or 4 of them is really, really good. The charge lots, what I like about them the most is you can actually charge straight up onto the swarm host. Ideally you want to have the Colossus and the Archons kill off all the Locusts immediately, so that allows the Zealots to charge for either the units like the Roach Hydra, or they charge onto the swarm host. Either way, both of them really good for your Zealots. Now if your Zealots do charge on the Locust, that's going to be not the best thing in the world. So if you do want, you could kind of like put them on a separate hotkey. Like I could have put it on 4 in this situation, which I probably should do from now on. But yeah, here's that extra observer I have behind it. I also like to get observer speed just in case if they do snipe. I could chrono boost that observer out quickly, and it could get to my army pretty fast. In that situation, I just back up, make more units, warp in more units, and then engage once my observer gets here. Once my observer gets here, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, so this is one of the compositions you want to go for against this. Is that 6 Colossus, about 4 Archons, some sentries. Remember, Locusts are ranged units, so you do want to go get Guardian Shield. You can use some force fields as well. You can either force field, you could try to preserve your force fields for the swarm host, or you could push out the supporting units away from it, or anything like that in general. You don't really need to use the force field on the swarm host or on the Locust, unless the situation they're playing very aggressive. You're back in your base, and you're contained, but you need a little bit more time for some more Colossus. You could just force field your ramp or something like that. But if you're able to get like 3 or 4 Colossus, you should be able to kill off, 2 to 4 Colossus, you should be able to kite the Locust until you get that 5th and 6th Colossus. And once you have that, you kind of engage into that kind of army composition. But yeah, if they have Vipers or Corruptors, like mass Corruptors, you do have to switch to a ground gateway type of composition. In my opinion, you do want to get charge lots, Archons, and High Templars with Storm. The High Templars are pretty good. I know they do, the Storm isn't the best thing in the world compared to Colossus when it comes to damage dealing, because it's energy based. They don't have that attack like an attack at all. It's all energy based. Once they run out of energy, they kind of like pointless, that situation. But you do want to get that, because in the Corruptors, if he has mass Corruptors, it's just dead weight for them. Vipers, feedback, of course, just feedbacking them before they abduct your Colossus, and that's a pain. Now another thing some people like to do is go Void Rays. Void Rays are pretty good but I don't think it's the best solution. It's a lot of gas you have to pretty much invest into, that I feel like the Locust should be able to push into your base and deal a lot of damage. Now you could keep the Void Rays in a very forward position because the Locust can't shoot up, so you should be able to kill off a couple of the Locusts before they even reach your army. But your ground army has to be very weak. You go for the Void Ray Colossus composition, just a lot of gas you have to put into that. The Roach Hydra should be able to push away the Void Rays, so they can't really get that damage dealing in early before the Locusts engage into your army. This is one of the things I hate. And if you don't have a critical number of Void Rays, they kind of suck with Void Ray Colossus. The cool thing about the Void Ray Colossus is when you're getting that critical number of Void Rays with your Colossus, in my opinion, against this composition. But you can go Void Rays. I just ideally think that it's not the best thing or best solution. I feel like this is one of the best solutions. Just going for 6 Colossus and then just a heavy ground army, particularly Archons if you can. But like I said, if they go Corruptors or anything like that, you do need to get Storm and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's other things you could do. Also, you could kind of use Warp Prisms because it's a heavy investment over here. They had to keep everything back. It's kind of like dealing with Brewlords. Any tips to deal with Brewlords can translate over to dealing with Swarm Hosts. You want to use Warp Prisms to harass if you can. I ideally do not want to do that. Unless I had 6 Colossus already, then I can invest into Warp Prisms. But until then, I do want to get my Colossus out as soon as possible, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be going. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment below. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't on youtube.com/FlatLine'sC2. You can also follow me on Twitter. You can also watch my stream if you are not satisfied by the amount of videos I'm producing on YouTube. You can definitely check out my Twitch and watch my VODs there as well, which is twitch.tv/FlatLine'sC2. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.